Less than 2 months to go. Here to discuss, Rick Unger, the Pod Complex host. Back with us, Tammy Bruce, Rochelle Ritchie, and Michelle McCory. I'm sorry. Rick, I'll start with you. I just find it fascinating because we always vote with our pocketbooks and our wallets. The excellent part on this has never been this high. For 21% of Americans to say the economy is excellent, it's never happened before.
Right.
Right now, it doesn't look like it's helping Republicans.
It was a fascinating poll. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like it. My attribution as to why the president's numbers sunk so low, John McCain. I think the way the president handled himself during the McCain funeral, et cetera, really played very badly with the American public. Look, we care about character, and it doesn't matter what side you're on. And I think that he kind of blew it there. The good news, though, is that this will pass. Good news if you support the president. I think you'll see these numbers take a bounce up in a week or two because that will pass from the public.
They certainly go in waves, Tammy, you got to believe. There are books, there are unidentified op-eds, anonymous op-eds. The pile-on in the last 2 weeks has been very significant. It might be playing a role in these numbers.
Well, yes, but at the same time, we know President Trump. We've seen him across an entire spectrum of surprising situations and not so surprising ones. He's a president that we know extremely well, perhaps the president we've known the best. Polls, you're right, absolutely. They're snapshots in a moment. But what we've also seen over the years are polls, and this is what worries me about this poll, is I can't easily find the internals. So we need to look at the internals, and what we've seen, not just in 16, but in other major elections, are how they weight who answers the questions. Right. And we've seen this strategically when it comes to kind of a competition for the frame of mind of the voter. That might be a factor here. I rely on Rasmussen, 3-day rolling average, a consistent
But even that's lower
pattern.
than it has been.
Well,
right?
it's at 47.
Right.
It's at 47. So it's a standard higher 40s. And Gallup stopped doing daily polling or looking at the presidential approval rating because they couldn't get it right. So at least they were honest in that regard. But you're right. This will change. The president will continue to do well. I always say don't rely on the polls in a snapshotty kind of way.
I'm sure Democrats have learned their lesson with respect to resting on their laurels and coasting to victory based on polls.
Why would you say that?
That's for sure.
But having said that, we talked about the economy in the first block of Rochelle. Do Democrats craft a message just ignoring the economic part, since that, even with the economy as doing as well as it is, all these other things seem to be resonating pretty loud?
Well, I was a press secretary for the Democratic Policy and Communications Committee for the House, and we drafted a message. You might remember it. It was called A Better Deal. And it sort of has fallen flat because the economy...
Can you get it on a bumper sticker?
Because the economy is actually doing so well now. But I think what I found so shocking this week or in the last few days is how independents are now rating Donald Trump. They've gone from 47% to 31% in just a month. And I think that a lot of it is the divisive rhetoric and sort of the fear-mongering that we're starting to hear from the Republican Party.
Michelle, though, in the same poll, Republicans 84-7. His core followers, rock solid support. Just rock solid. They're unwavering.
Yeah, and that's absolutely the point to hit home, that Republicans and conservatives, they're driving out the noise from the mainstream media and the narrative, which is personal attacks on the president, and they're seeing how their lifestyles have improved. They're seeing how their 401k plans are thriving. They're seeing how just today small business optimism is at an all-time high. But still, having said that, I don't put that much stock in polls in general. If polls were accurate, Hillary Clinton would be president, and the UK wouldn't be trying to Brexit. So I always like to take polls with a pinch of salt.
I think that what people don't actually talk about, though, is that the economy is not going to be the end-all, be-all to how we vote, right? People want to know, what are you doing about immigration? What are you doing about health care? What are you doing about the deficit? And right now, the only thing that we're seeing from the Republican Party in regards to health care is 4 million people losing their health care, immigration.
Let me ask you then, Rick, because we have 400,000 new manufacturing jobs. If the Republicans say, hey, you know what, we just saw the largest wage increase, we won't quibble about inflation, right? Just that one metric that everyone uses, right? It's the main metric, just like the unemployment number. We won't quibble about people leaving the job force and it looking. But do Republicans say to people, what do Republicans say to Americans? Do you want to give up these financial gains? Bottom line, Make it a yes or no
I don't know
referendum
that.
on your personal well-being.
It's a fair question, but I don't know that Americans are or are not. You might be absolutely right that they may view it that way, but I think that Americans can separate the fact and say, you know, I'm not giving up the benefits I'm getting from the economy, which raises another critical issue. We are just now starting to see this good economy seep down into these small towns in America that really gave Donald Trump their support. Is it in time? I don't know if it's in time for midterms because a lot of these people have not seen the benefits.
Let me just say that it will be the economy virtually exclusively. Remember why President Trump was elected on all of the divisive issues, and he has succeeded in keeping his promises on those issues. So things that Democrats find divisive, that the American people dealt with them. And he talked about immigration. We talked about health care. We talked about what he wanted to do, the tax cuts. So he's done them. So those things are going to, maybe they're going to talk about them, but it will come down almost exclusively to the finances. You'll see the Democrats try to move on the issue of character. That's been baked in already. Right. They're not going to vote on whether or not they like Donald Trump personally. They didn't in 2016, even before they knew if he would deliver. And he did. That will be a mistake from the Democrats.
We've always heard people vote
for independence. That's what I'm
for something rather
against. Voted the same way, and they will again.
But we've always heard that people vote for something rather against something.
That's right.
And I think they will. I think they will vote for a president that has come out and kept his campaign promises. That's a very rare thing in politics. I think it's interesting, Charles, when the Democrats pull out the big guns and you have former President Barack Obama coming out and doing something that is unprecedented, and that is attacking a current president by name and on the economy. I think that could send a signal that the Democrats are seeing that the economy is thriving, and they're trying to throw the Republican message off balance with that.
Right.
With Obama.
I know everybody wants to jump in. I'm getting a rap signal, folks. We can keep this going for a long time. I got a feeling we could pick this up again. Thanks a lot.
I'll be proven correct in November, so thank you.